Welcome everybody to another edition of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host Brian Parker, along with my co-host Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
Not good. I am pissed off.
Whoa.
Pissed off.
Okay.
Man,
Well, hold on while you piss. Before you get into your piss off mode, I do want to at least start the show and just at least recognize very, very quickly that it has now been a year, and it is amazing that it's been a year after everything that's been going on with the pandemic and elections and everything else, that Kobe and Gianna were tragically killed along with some other folks in the helicopter crash in California. Um, I still ain't over that. and
no.
and it's painful to even remember just getting that news and hearing about it, and the tributes were beautiful and everything, but it was just tragic. It's something that unbelievable and unable to comprehend how that could happen with two souls that just had so much, presumably, things left undone in front of them. So, we just give a tip to Kobe's family, his friends, and everybody else out there as we remember the Black Mamba and his
Yeah. It was one of those situations and one of those days where you know exactly where you were when you got the news. I was actually sitting at my part-time job and that thing flashed across the screen, and there's so much fake news out there that I was just like, oh no, that's not the truth. That
right,
can't be real.
right.
But then the article I was reading said TMZ, and I was just like, oh no, that, and I was just blown away, hurt, dumbfounded. How could this be? Shocked. And Kobe, there are not many celebrities out there that I'll shed a tear for when they pass away. Prince was definitely one for me. But then Bryant was another, man. It's just something about watching this kid's career from the time he was 17 years of age. I saw him coming out of Lower Marion High School in Philadelphia, and just watch him grow up and mature and then retire, and the amazing things he did, even at an old age, kind of taking that torch from Michael Jordan. He just became so beloved.
Yeah.
So that hurt me initially when I heard that he had passed away. But then when I heard the daughter was also in the copter, my heart just bled. And it
Yeah.
just immediately went out to that family, because I couldn't imagine what Vanessa Bryant was going through at that time, and still is going
Yeah.
through.
And I know
It's
you've
tough.
got some daughters. I've got some daughters, and
Yes.
just to think, we as fathers expect to go before our children, but to know that one of our kids had to go with us.
That's terrible, man. And the only thing I think about in that time is I just hope Kobe was holding her. That's all I could really hope for.
Yeah.
We'll never know, but I just hope that.
Yeah.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah. I remember for the longest too that he had used that as a way to just simply even get to basketball practice,
Yeah.
because the traffic in LA was so bad. He started doing that a long time ago, where he just have a helicopter ride, hop him over to the Staples Center for practice and everything. And that was just a routine thing. But, more stuff kind of came out about the weather conditions and all those kind of things. And, those are, things to look at for another time. But definitely just wanted to remember a true gentleman of the game. He really did grow and develop. He was a number one overall pick by the Charlotte Hornets
Yeah.
and traded on draft day for Vlade Divac. I will never forget that either. Charlotte, you messed up.
Oh no, I don't think he was ever going to play for us.
He wasn't. He wasn't.
Nah.
That was more of our way of making a deal with LA, but it was.
Yeah.
We had him for about 5 minutes. He was a Hornet for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, he wore the hat.
He did wear the hat. He walked up there knowing that I'm not really going to be wearing his hat. But the Lakers were the best team for him. He did grow and develop. I remember when he was first coming out trying to play with the big boys and shot that air ball, and people were like,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
Lord. But
Yeah.
it wasn't too many more air balls after that. This dude started doing some crazy stuff, and oh man, I mean, I was already a somewhat Lakers fan, and he solidified that for the longest with me being like, because I was kind of transitioning from the Bulls after they broke up my six-peat team like they did. I
Yeah,
was
man.
hoping against the Jerrys for the longest about that, so I started sliding over to the Lakers and everything, and you know, Kobe was the man. So
He just
Kobe,
did things that were like out of the movies, like the
yeah,
81-point game, and then his final game, which was a home game, he goes for I think 60.
yeah.
Just amazing stuff,
Yeah,
man.
I always respected him because no game was ever too big for him.
No,
If the game was on the line, he did not veer away from being the guy to take the shot.
never.
Win, lose, or draw, you knew it was going to him, and you knew that you were merely going to be a spectator and to observe firsthand, better than courtside seats, what he was about to do. And I can't imagine what it was like to just sit there and watch him do his thing, his turnaround, and then scowling and everything. And oh man,
Let me
well,
tell you about
Kobe,
the heart of Kobe Bryant, the
yes,
cojones of Kobe Bryant.
huge.
Uh, Shaq, 7 feet tall, is his team in LA. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
And here comes a 19-year-old kid that says, I'm not going to defer to you. What? What, young man? Do you know who I am? Do you know
Right.
my size? He didn't care. Didn't
Nope.
care. Didn't care. I'm not going to defer to you.
Mm-mm.
We're going to be A1 and A2.
Yep.
Or I'm not just going to be your Scottie Pippen. So,
Right. Yeah. That sidekick thing was good for Mike and Scotty. We
yeah.
ain't sidekicks. We might be the Avengers. We might be the Justice League, but ain't gonna be no sidekicks. This ain't
Kobe wasn't
Titans.
having it.
Nope.
At 19 years of age to tell Shaq, a
I'm the one
multi-year
sidekick.
veteran, I know this is your team, but it's my team too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh,
So, Cole, thank you for all the memories. Thank you for everything that you brought to the game. And we love you. We miss you. And definitely wanted to acknowledge a huge loss for the entire world, not just the NBA,
yeah, man.
but all over. It was a loss for everybody. And to your point, yeah, man, I cried too. I cried like a baby because my heart just sunk for Vanessa, the rest of the
Yes.
kids, and to think of losing a daughter. And you know, I've got two daughters, and you know, I just don't even know how, as a parent, I would feel losing any one of my children, and then even having to look at the other ones, knowing that it's not complete anymore. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, you know, before I start crying again, I'm going to go ahead and now turn this back over to the NFL. Um, but yeah, Ms. Hargrove, you are pissed. That's where we last left off. So please indulge us. Why in the world are you pissed?
You know, it's a small thing, but Randall Hargrove does not go over on his playoff picks. That doesn't happen ever, B, ever.
I know. And
Oh
and
man,
and the thing that happened to me is really kind of what happened to you is the team that I expected to really win lost, and the team that I was kind of thinking would, they really did win.
yeah,
Oh
man.
God,
I
unbelievable.
like to think. I've been doing this a long time. These
Yep.
predictions, I'm spot on a lot of times, but it's the times where you ain't spot on that like are nails in your side. And last weekend was a definite nail in my side. It's like soon as the game start playing, why did I choose Buffalo? Why did I choose Green Bay?
Oh my God. Well, I was thinking that about Green Bay like early in the game, and then I saw him starting to come back, and I was like, okay, here he comes. Here comes that bad man. And
Yeah,
they just could not sealed the deal. Both of the quarterbacks played. You know, people keep talking about Brady being the GOAT and everything else. Look, he threw 3 picks.
He did. He did.
You know, just because it happened at better times in the game doesn't. I mean, you look at his stats. He threw 280 yards, 20 of 36, and 43-year-old man throwing 36 passes. That's still a lot. But he threw 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. You can't act like he didn't throw those 3 picks. Now, Aaron Rodgers only threw 1 pick. He threw for 346 yards. So statistically, Aaron had the better game. But everybody keep talking about how well Tom played. And I'm sitting there going, who?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he played well for his age, if you want to add that part in there, but just played well overall. No, he had some really ugly interceptions, like just throw it up to anybody interceptions. And those are bad. Those are actually rookie decisions and decisions that you see
Well, he has a
quarterbacks
tendency to
that are
do. He
losing
has a
it.
tendency to do that more when he feels the rush.
Yeah.
I've seen him do that a couple more times this year than I've ever seen him do it before. Where when he feels the pressure, he hear them feet coming, he'll just crank it up. Now, Aaron Rodgers will normally just throw the ball out of bounds as long as it goes past the line of scrimmage and he's out of the tackle box.
Yep.
The reason that Brady can't do that is because he doesn't scramble out of the tackle box. So he gonna get a grounding call. But Aaron Rodgers will at least roll out, so he's not in the tackle box, and all you have to do then is let the ball travel past the line of scrimmage, and you can throw it away. So that's kind of the difference, but that's why Rodgers has fewer interceptions than anybody else in the league, is because a lot of times when there's nothing there, he just throws it away.
Which is a smart decision.
Smart decision. You don't lose any yards you just lose it down. You don't lose yards.
Yep. I've noticed that when Brady does it, I think he's trying a lot of times to get it to Evans. Maybe because of Evans' height, he think Evans is going to win those jump ball situations. But sometimes, I mean, the ball doesn't even get near Evans. Those interceptions were just bad, man. Bad. But yeah, let's start with the Green Bay Tampa game. I guess we'll go to AFC later. But, man, Green Bay, questionable stuff at the end there. I mean, you get down to a situation where you could tie it up with a 2-point conversion if you get the touchdown. And I saw Aaron Rodgers for the first time this year not really make the best decisions. If you go back and watch the replays of the second and third down, when they're going down there, the score was, let me set it up better. It was 31-23, I believe. The Bucs were up. Yeah, 31-23, late in the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers on second down gets the ball. Nobody's open in the end zone. So he has an option to take off running. There's nobody out there. So he does run. You think he's going to run, but right before he gets to the line of scrimmage, he forces a pass.
Right.
Third down, did the exact same thing again. I mean, it was even more obvious on third down. There was no linebacker out there to stop him. He rolls out, scrambles, avoids the rush. Nobody's open. He's got green grass ahead of him. He might even score if he chooses to run, but he just, for whatever reason, forces a pass and it's incomplete. And here's where the bad decision, I guess, it's easy to say bad decisions in hindsight being 2020, 50-50 if you're Cam. But hindsight being 2020, they decided to kick a field goal, man, to make it 31-26. So there's just a lot of flack in Green Bay right now. A lot of fans are wondering why kick a field goal in that situation. Go for it on fourth down. If you make it and then go for the 2-point conversion, you got yourself a 31-31 tie.
Right, because even if you don't, you've backed them up quite a bit.
Yeah, even if you miss it, then they got
to turn it over on downs. They've got a whole field to drive.
Yeah.
But if you kick a field goal, now you got to do a onside kick. But if you choose to kick it all the way down to the field and they return it pretty well, then you just wasted a bunch of field position.
Yeah.
That made no sense. And I don't get it with Rodgers too. If you take off running, if you can't score, slide.
Yeah.
You know what? Slide. And you know how these refs are sometimes with some of the elite quarterbacks. If
Right.
somebody blows on you the wrong way when you start to slide, you might get a personal
You might
foul.
get a first down. Yeah.
Yeah. You can
So
even fake it a little bit. Now they're gonna give it to Cam. They'll let Cam get his head toe off. But
right.
if you are Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or Tom Brady and somebody blow on you when you start going to that slide, that is going to be a 15-yard penalty, half of this to the goal, first down.
Yeah,
Period.
man.
Yeah, period. You already know it's coming.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. You know, sometimes I think they end up putting more pressure on themselves. Aaron knew coming into that game that he'd had a lot of different chances in conference championships and didn't seal the deal.
And didn't seal it again, bro.
And he didn't again. And that's going to end up being his legacy. That's going to be what
Yes, it
haunts him.
will. Totally agree with you.
You know, he has that one Super Bowl, but it's like, dude, how many other times were you knocking on the door? Were you 2 minutes away from the Super Bowl?
1-4 in conference championships. That's going to hurt his legacy. To know
Right.
you are knocking it.
A lot of teams don't get a lot of quarterbacks don't get to the conference championship 4 times.
No, right, exactly.
Yeah. And you had, by all accounts, one of your best seasons ever.
And then some of those past times where you got to the NFC championships, you were the favorite and you got upset. So those things are definitely going to go against his legacy. I mean, he really had an ideal shot. You know, if he beats Tom Brady, goes on to the Super Bowl, wins his second ring, who knows what we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, man. You know, top definitely maybe top 10 all time.
Yeah.
But debatable top 5. But now he's not going to be anywhere near that. Especially if he doesn't get that second ring, and there seems to be a little bit of turmoil or trouble in Green Bay after this game with the heat that Matt LaFleur and the offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett are catching for the decision to kick that field goal that I just talked about, rather than go for the potentially tying touchdown and 2-point conversion. Aaron Rodgers ruffled the feathers a little bit, talking about he didn't know if he would be back or not. So then he had to come back and clean that up. So it's a little bit of rough waters in Green Bay. Right now, I don't think Rodgers definitely is not going anywhere, but they definitely have some things to smooth over in the off season and get back to Green Bay football. But just to be competitive as much as they have been over the years, and not to be able to crack that hump and get to the Super Bowl but once, not a good look on Aaron Rodgers, man.
So here's the conundrum. Everybody talked about at the beginning of the year, at the last draft, the fact that they went for Jordan Love. They traded up a couple of picks to get him.
Yeah.
A player that contributed absolutely nothing to your team this year. And the slight on that was, well, why wouldn't you spend that pick on a tackle or another or skill player position, somebody that could be on the other side of MVS and Devontae Adams? Why wouldn't you have somebody else out there that could contribute immediately? Well, now the argument is going to be, well, hell, they made it to the conference championship. Was that really an issue?
Right.
Now, it could have been, and they just, over-exceeded and that kind of thing. But that's going to be the thing that's going to haunt him now, where, the rumbling was, hey, you didn't give me any help. And it's like, well, hell, it looked like you didn't really need any because you got to the game before the Super Bowl. So how is that going to really play into it? Because at the time, everybody looked at that, scratching their heads, going, oh, wow, they about to do him like he did Brett Favre. He on his way out. Now, LaFleur is saying, oh, no, we want Aaron back. He's the leader of the team. He's great in the locker room, which I've heard absolutely the opposite. That people think he's a dick. But, okay, whatever. I guess you got to say that as a coach. But I've heard that Yeah, the
I
greasy
heard,
spoon little
yeah, I
prick.
heard the same. Arrogant little prick.
So how is that going to play into it? Because yes, he has a contract. He still has a contract to play through. Is there any possibility that they would say, you know what, it would have been harder to move on from him if we had won the Super Bowl or even went to the Super Bowl? Do they have a little bit of cover to at least listen to trade offers since they didn't go to the Super Bowl?
I believe that I mean, it's going to sound crazy to say that a man that threw 48 touchdowns, only 5 picks, is now potentially being looked at for trades. But I mean, as a GM for a football team, you are not doing your job if you don't at least entertain offers.
Right.
So you have Aaron Rodgers, yeah, but you have also a quarterback that you drafted, as you just mentioned, also traded up for, who's not going to sit forever. He's
Right.
just not. Pretty
Right.
soon his card is going to be called to get in there and play. And he has to do that because he was a high draft pick, a #1 draft pick.
Number one, yeah.
So, yep,
And the thing is that the role of a GM is, yes, we want to win right now, but as a GM, I'm also building for the future.
exactly.
Now, if we keep constantly getting close in the playoffs, but we can't get over the hump, is this the time to start taking a few pieces off and bring other pieces in that are a little bit younger, faster, and less expensive?
Yeah, it's not crazy, B. It's really not, because, I mean, you go back and look at that game, Green Bay's offensive line got destroyed,
Yeah,
manhandled. I mean,
yeah.
there was one particular play, and I know Tampa's front four, front three are outstanding, but my God, man, there was one particular play I saw 2 offensive linemen basically get put back on their ass and rolled
Yeah.
up, like rolling down a hill, rolled up.
And you
So,
remember, in the regular season, remember I said this on the last show, it seemed like for whatever reason, Tampa's defense, which didn't play like itself this entire season,
no,
but from what I've seen them be able to play, their defense is normally better than that. But when they played Green Bay and Aaron threw those 2 picks in that game, that was the most in tune that I've seen that defense against that team.
yeah,
And I was worried that, hey, they know how to play Green Bay. They may struggle with other teams in offensive line and stuff, but for whatever reason, they've seemed to figure it out, Green Bay. And
yeah.
it was almost like part 2. They went right back to doing what they
It
did to
was
them in the
right
regular
back
season.
to business as usual. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
They absolutely destroyed that offensive line. I mean, there was constant pressure being put on Rodgers, and I mean, them boys, Pierre Paul and some of them linebackers, Shaq and what's his name, Sue, they crushed that offensive line, man. And it made Rodgers uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They really couldn't establish a run game after Jones went out of the game. Right now, 2 things: Tampa's entire team has peaked at the right time to go ahead and be able to do this thing. And number 2, Green Bay is going to definitely need some offensive line help moving forward. So, yeah, to get back to your point, as crazy as it might sound, trading Aaron Rodgers for potential help, such as the offensive line and more weapons, is something that if I'm a GM, I would definitely entertain. Look at the crazy offers that are on the table right now for Deshaun Watson.
I
You
know.
talking 3 #1s plus your starting player plus some #2s and future #3s. Those are offers that are out there right now for Watson.
That's
So
crazy.
imagine what, Rodgers ain't going to get that much because he's older. But
No.
just imagine some of the things that you could command
Do you
by
understand
putting Rodgers on
how
the trade
desperate
block.
you would have to be to do that, though? You know
Yeah.
how crazy you'd have to be.
Yeah, but like the command for a quarterback is higher than it's ever been. Not ever been, but
This
higher than it's been in years.
off season when it comes to quarterbacks
It's
is
going
going
to
to
be
be
nuts.
nuts. And it's
Nuts.
funny because everybody's going to be in a holding pattern until the Deshaun Watson domino falls.
Yep, and that's what
Because
started off.
those teams that are thinking about Deshaun, and then not only other people out there now that we have to add Matthew Stafford to the list,
Yep.
where him and now Detroit have come to the understanding that he can't go any further with his team. And I remember I was worried about that because they draft, I think, 8th. And I was always saying, well, they may go for a quarterback because Stafford's time has to be getting shorter there. He's been there, I think, 12 years, and he's always a good fantasy guy. He'll give you the stats. He'll give you 300 yards passing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He probably, ain't gonna say may not, he probably won't win the game, but he's gonna give you some fantastic stats.
Mm-hmm.
He's good for stats.
He is.
But he ain't good for no playoffs.
Nah,
He just like Phillip Rivers. He can pass
exactly
for a whole lot of yards through the regular season. Hell, they might go 12-4. But that's it.
That's the top.
Be one and out in the playoffs. That's what's going to happen. And now that they're talking about him potentially going to India, I'm like, well, that makes sense. Rivers just left there, and Rivers kind of was the same player as Stafford. Big arm, he could throw it down the field, pad the stats, and not win a daggone thing.
Yep. It's just going to be interesting, this quarterback domino effect that's going to happen come March free agency. It's going to affect the draft. It's going to affect free agency, like I was just saying.
Yep.
Now you got Detroit that people were mocking Patrick Surtain to initially. Now that they need a quarterback, you got one of the prospects going there now. So that, of course, undercuts Carolina a little bit, who's also in need for a quarterback. But it's going to be a very
it's funny because I was just reading before we got on where Stafford is one of those that Carolina could consider.
I've heard that. I think that would be it'll be a better move than Bridgewater, but
it ain't the right
somewhere down the line, you're going to need a quarterback for the next 10 years. And Stafford, dude's 32, going to be 33. Nah, man, I would not give up draft picks for that.
I wouldn't either. I just go ahead and break it. You got a brand new coach. It's still the honeymoon period. You showed us some new, nice little shiny things that you can do and some innovative things. So we're at least going to give you the chance. You bought yourself this year, Matt Rule, you bought yourself some time. We're willing to see that once you start to bring in your players with the new general manager, we'll give you that time to put them together. Now, we don't want to just see y'all tanking and doing some shenanigans and stuff and overreaching, drafting players. But he kind of bought himself some time, I think, because he did a lot better than we expected.
He did, yeah. And, while we're on the Panthers, I know there's a lot of sexy talk about Deshaun Watson. I think we discussed this last week and whatnot. But now we got talk of Matt Stafford. I would rather the Panthers take the model of the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets were also offered a lot of sexiness with the Russell Westbrook deal that didn't happen. Thank God it didn't happen. But they've kind of just stuck to their own. We're going to draft our own. We're going to build our cap, and we're going to keep our draft picks. Yeah. And down the future, I mean, though it may not appear right now that things are the best, 4 years from now, when you're sitting under a ton of money under the cap and you got a ton of draft picks to work with and a ton of money to go out and buy free agents that you want, it works out. So I hope the Panthers also keep that same model. Keep your draft picks. Rule and Brady are very good at talent evaluation. Bring the folks in that these guys want to work with. Also, let me not forget about the new GM that was hired. He's also a very good talent evaluator. Go ahead and give these guys some time. Build up your cap space. Keep your picks. They're precious. And build that way. I don't know if we'll get the quarterback at the 8th pick that we've been talking about, the Justin Fields and the Zach Wilson and all that. But You might get a Mac Jones out of Alabama, who's also
Yeah.
not looked bad
Nope.
at the quarterback position. And if they are able to work with that kid and make him a professional, then you might have something to work with and have a quarterback who's under a rookie deal for 4 years rather than going out and grabbing some free
Agreed.
agent and giving up
Agreed.
picks and assets for.
Agreed. Now I agree. Now I get why Stafford is appealing to people.
Gotta
He's
get
a
it.
he's a $20 million a year quarterback, and the going price right now is about 35.
Yeah.
You know, I get it. He's a very cap friendly quarterback, especially when the salary cap is expected to be down this coming NFL year due to COVID. So, you know, I've even heard that, hey, the Cowboys could look at him as an option to Dak because he'd be more cap friendly. Because if
Yeah.
you tag Dak, you're talking about paying him 37. If you sign him to an extension, you're looking at paying him over 40. 40. If you take Deshaun Watson, you're paying close to 40.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, if you don't have a lot of cap room, Stafford makes sense because he's a very economical quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, that's why Cam is probably going to end up somewhere because he's going to be very cheap. He's going to
Oh,
be some
yeah.
poor man's quarterback that is really cash strapped, that needs a quarterback, and he's going to make it just because he's been in the league. He knows offenses and defenses and stuff like that, and he'll be very cap friendly. When you
He's
talk about
this year's
Deshaun
Jameis
Watson,
Winston.
yeah, everybody like cars, but everybody can't afford a Lamborghini.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but well, we all got to drive.
We all
So
got to drive.
so eventually you're gonna have to get you a car, and it may not be the car you want, but it's the one you can afford.
Yeah.
That's what Cam is right now. Yeah, he might be a hoopty.
He looking like it.
He look like a hoopty.
Yeah.
All the switches don't even work, but he a hoopty. But yeah, so the quarterback thing is going to be really, really interesting to see how that works out. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, you know, regardless what had happened Sunday, Buffalo has a hell of a quarterback.
They do.
Josh Allen, you had a good year, son. You just ran into a better team.
Exactly.
One that was ready, one that sat there and made you uncomfortable in the pocket. I know you tried to extend the play with your legs a couple of times, and he did. Sometimes that you couldn't tell where that rush was coming from, and they made him go backwards. And those were really some bad negative impact plays. But, you know, and it's very, very rare for a team that just won the Super Bowl to get back. It's a hard thing to ask a team to do.
Yeah.
I know New England a lot of times showed us different, but part of the reason they were able to do it is because they played in a weak conference. So
Oh, God, yeah.
they were going to get a first round bye. So now they had an extra week and stuff like that. Kansas City didn't have that. I mean, they had it this year because they won their their conference. But you know, a lot of teams don't get that and they still make it back. I think about the Steelers going in as a wild card a lot of times and still making it to the Super Bowl. So that formula doesn't always work, but here we are looking at the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl again with Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill decided to become the Tyreek Hill of old and was just making people look like it was a video game out there. He was doing some moves. I'm just like, tackle him. Tackle him. They couldn't get him.
I tell you, to your point about Josh Allen, he's definitely the future.
Yes.
He did all he could, man. He just ran into the wall. I mean, what are you going to do? Right? He played as well as he could. Your starting quarterback should not be your leading rusher.
Sure.
We talked last week about Buffalo's chances, and I said they're going to need to find a run game, and we thought they'd be able to do that. Well, Singletary gave them nothing. It was the Josh Allen show. Josh had close to 90 yards rushing the ball, and about
he did
200 some yards passing. So he did all he could, man. He just ran into the better team. And I thought going into the game that Buffalo had the defensive speed to stay with Kelsey. But I
Right.
don't think anybody can cover Kelsey. I mean, what do? He's too fast for the linebackers in the league. You put a safety on him, they're too small.
Right.
I mean, he's got wide receiver capability in a tight end body. There's nothing you could do with that
No.
dude, man.
This word is appropriate. He's a freak. He's a
Absolute
freak,
freak.
a freak of nature. Yes. He's a freak. There's nothing you can do with Travis Kelce.
No,
Nothing.
nothing. So Buffalo did all they could, but you're not going to beat Kansas City in Kansas City by kicking field goals. You're going to have to score some touchdowns because those field goals that you're kicking are not going to match the touchdowns that they're going to get. And that's pretty much what happened with this. Buffalo jumped up 9-0, had a great start to the game. But then here comes Mahomes, man, and here comes Kelsey, which nobody can stop. Just too many offensive weapons. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Tyreek Hill had 9 catches, 172 yards. Kelsey had 13 catches for 118
ooh,
yards.
how many? 13 catches. Good Lord.
From your tight end.
From your tight end, man. How many yards?
118. 9 yards a carry.
God almighty.
9 yards a carry. Now, Hill had 19 yards a carry, but still. But Kelsey had the 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill didn't score a touchdown. And then Hardman, who had muffed that punt, he did get a touchdown. Boy, he looked so bad when he did that. He ran over to the side and just threw the whole thing over. They had to go get him. They're like, come on, man, we got you. But Mahomes went over to Hardman right after that. And if that kid just isn't drenched in leadership at such a young age, when I saw him go over there and come, and Hardman's a young kid too, you know what I'm saying? It ain't like he's that much a senior, but he went over there and said, you know what? We're going to go back out there and you're going to be a part of this offense and you're going to get it done. And damn it, he did.
Yeah.
He got him right back involved after that big blunder. And that was probably one of the greatest shows of leadership from such a young kid that's just poised under all kinds of duress. Again, I say this a lot now, but it's very true with him too. It just doesn't seem like any moment's too big for this guy. He just seems to play his best when the game is on the line and stuff. So, you know, it's going to be hard for me to bet against Mahomes because it just seems like it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if it's the Super Bowl or if it's a scrimmage. He's going to go out there and play just as hard. He goes 100 the whole time.
Nothing bothers him, man, and nothing ever did from when he was a rookie coming to the league. I mean, he arrived, and nothing has bothered him since. It's amazing.
You don't see a lot of those kids when they come from college make that transfer like that, especially a quarterback.
That's
especially
very
a quarterback.
It took Josh Allen some time to get where he's at.
It did.
Yep.
Yeah, but this kid,
Day
one.
And
you know what? If he was not poised and everything else, he done fooled the hell out of everybody. he was a great actor then. And sometimes you got to be able to sell that confidence, even if you don't really have it deep down inside. So whether he really had it, it was authentic, or he was just manufacturing that look, it worked. And man, just watching him play, he threw 38 times and completed 29 of his passes.
Incredible.
I mean, that is
incredible.
29, 30, yeah, 76% of his passes.
Yeah.
That's 325 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
No picks.
You ain't beating that. You ain't beating that. So here's the question. Since at the very first show, and we're like 15 shows in, probably no more than that, like 19 shows in. Who you got for the Super Bowl? I picked Tampa at the beginning of the season before one game was played, and somehow or another they made it to the Super Bowl.
I want to say I signed off on that, man. I got to go back and watch that first show that we did to
You
see who I
did.
selected.
You
Okay,
did.
I thought I signed off on that.
You
Yeah.
did because of the weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just weird, you got one thing on paper and then you make your predictions and you feel good about it. And then you watch it translate on the field. And they don't go out and just start dominating. They hit their valleys. But now that team is peaking. So I guess the best thing to do is just you got to wait and be patient and let everything just play out. Let them play the kinks out. Let Brady get comfortable with all his receivers. Let Fournette get comfortable in the new offense. And the prediction that we made back in week 1 before the season even started really is now coming to fruition. Yeah, man. Tampa versus Kansas City. It's going to be a great, great Super Bowl. I put a little thing out in Facebook, water cooler, talking about it's going to be the young Jedi versus the old Sith Lord.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
For control of the universe or dominance of the galaxy. May the force be with you. That's what this game reminds me of as far as the quarterbacks. A changing of the guard, man. Mahomes, if he goes out there and beats Brady, you're now talking about Mahomes being the best quarterback in the league, taking that reign from Brady, who has been that forever. So, predictions. Whew, this one's tough. I know it is hard for a team to repeat, so I keep on leaning on that. It's been multiple years. I think Dallas was the last team to repeat as Super Bowl champions back in the early 90s, and nobody's done it since. So it's hard for me to sign off on Kansas City repeating for that reason, just because nobody's freaking done it. But then they got Mahomes. So it makes me think that way. Then on the other side of the ball, you got Tampa, who is peaking at the right moment, right time.
Where are they playing at?
And that, again, boom, I was getting to that. Playing right in their backyard. A defense that is just dominating right now. And if that front four can cause problems for Mahomes, I just see Tampa in a close one. Tom Brady pulling it out like Tom Brady has historically pulled it out. They're the more physical football team. They are the ones that normally win in the trenches. They're physical on both sides of the ball with their defense, the line, the linebackers, even the corners. I couldn't believe what Whitehead was doing to Green Bay out there. He was thumping everybody, knocking them out the game. You got to be a tough son of to knock Aaron Jones up out the game.
Yeah.
And Whitehead took him out, forced another fumble. He was, I don't know who stole from his mama, but he knocked himself out the game. I hope he's going to be good for the Super Bowl. But that physical of a defense and that physical of a run game with both Ronald Jones and Fournette, I'm just leaning Tampa Bay. Barely, but I'm leaning Tampa Bay. Who you got?
Yeah. I tend to agree with you for a lot of reasons. I learned a long time ago not to bet against Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Every time that I think he's done, he's out, he's down, he's over, he finds a way to win the games that really count. We can go back and find evidence of him aging throughout the regular season.
Right.
He's 43 freaking years old. Of course, you're going to find, if you can't find signs of that, then you not looking. You're going to see signs of that. But what you do see about Tom Brady is that for the majority of his career, he's avoided the hits. He's taken care of his body. He's always prepared. And now he has 2 weeks to figure out what he can do best to hurt the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, when I look at coaches, Bruce Arians is a good coach. Andy Reid is a good coach. I don't know who has the better advantage in 2 weeks trying to figure out the game plan they want to install. But the X factor to me is Tom Brady, because this is his 10th one.
Unbelievable.
He done been there, done that.
Right.
Talking about a moment that's not too big. Hell, he done been in 9 other ones. You know, this is just like going to work for him. He does this. For him, this is normal. For him, going down Media Row, which I'm sure they're not going to have all that this year, and all the things that lead up into the Super Bowl and all those kind of things, that don't faze him no more. You know, so now it's about preparing, getting his team prepared, talking to his line, making sure him and his receivers know where each other going to be and stuff like that. That's no slight to Mahomes. I see him eventually being that perennial Super Bowl quarterback, always going, always in the AFC Championship games and stuff like that. I see there's that one little underhanded pass he threw. That was just, I'm just like, what do you do with that? Who taught you to do that? He's running power right. Kelsey cuts to the middle. He just throws it in the air. Like, that's not a pass. What is that? Oh my God. So yeah, I love the kid, and his time is coming. But Thomas Edward Brady, Joseph Brady, got a message for Bill Belichick that he's trying to send personally in front of millions of people at the Super Bowl. In the words of the great philosopher, Kool Moe Dee, Tom Brady's going to say to Bill Belichick, how you like me now?
You know what? I didn't even think about that aspect, but you're absolutely right. And that, I guarantee you, he ain't going to say it. You'll never get it out of him.
Scoreboard.
But every day of these 2 weeks, I'm sure that is a motivating factor.
Yes. See, Mahomes is still in that, we're just happy to be here, we're enjoying the moment and all that. No. Tom got a mission.
On a mission.
Tom had a mission when he moved from cold Foxborough to South Florida. He had a mission. I'm gonna show this mofo when you sat there and went for Garoppolo, and I nixed that. And then when y'all sat there and act like y'all ain't want to give me that money after I've been taking all these hometown discounts all these years. Okay.
Gotcha.
Got something for that ass. That's exactly what now he ain't gonna say it. You right. Now his crazy wife might go out and start tweeting it. How about that, Bill? Cassell a little crazy, especially she get a little lip, Cassell might tweet something and say it for him. And then I'm sure there's other people that's gonna say it for him too, to kind of give him some cover. But his play is gonna do, I don't think they'll win the game necessarily because of him, but they won't lose it because of him. He'll play his part. Think so either. Yeah. But the thing about Brady is that even when there's some Super Bowls that he's won where it was really because other people stepped up and did things. He just happened to be the quarterback.
Right. Yep.
And I could definitely see this game turning more into that, where he plays his role. He elevates the people around him. To do that. Now, here's my question. If Tom Brady does win the Super Bowl, is he coming back or is he done?
I would lean towards him being done. There's no better way to end your career than to ride off into the sunset with another Super Bowl ring on a different team, a team that you just arrived to. and in a different conference,
that
absent
you
of
had
your
no
coach,
preseason.
no preseason, and absent of your coach that you've been tied to for decades.
Mm-hmm,
There's
19 years,
no
yeah.
topping that. He will
None.
go down, and this pains me to say.
I know it does. I want to
As
hear you
many
say it. I
times
want to
as
hear you say it.
Oh God, as many times as he's agonized my Steelers and then stole one from my Panthers, but he
But
will
he
go
did.
down as the greatest quarterback that has ever played this game. And I don't think there's a debate to it.
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm. If he caps off this season with a Super Bowl win, I don't want to ever hear this discussion on ESPN.
No, it's not a
And you
discussion.
might want to fight over number 2,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's the GOAT. That's
You
the
can
GOAT. When
Joe
he walk in the
Montana
room,
me all you want to. Joe Montana did not have the resume that Tom Brady is making right now. In fact, when Joe Montana got older, he was showing his age. So,
exactly.
yeah,
Big
man,
time. Big time.
it's
Okay.
Brady all day. I don't think he would have anything else to prove.
I don't either, because I honestly think this was his way of proving that while nobody else could figure out if it was the coach or the quarterback, I'm going to show you which one it was.
And you know
Because
what?
as long as I was up in New England, that was always going to be the question. So I'm going to answer it for you. And if he answers it for us in 2 weeks,
How you
win
like
now.
me now? But here's the other thing, B, before we get out of here. That Tampa Bay roster, and I know they got Antonio Brown, but I mean, he hadn't really contributed that much.
Right.
That Tampa Bay roster is kind of intact from when Jameis Winston had it. So the only change out has been the quarterback. We're looking at a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, hadn't made the playoffs.
Right.
And
So
now
again,
in the
when
freaking
we talk
Super
about
Bowl.
elevating his
Yeah. And now they're in the freaking Super Bowl. You can't, Tom, you can't top that. If you win a Super Bowl ring, right off into the sunset, my friend.
I would.
Yeah.
That's like a mic drop.
Mic drop. Exactly.
Because the whole idea isn't could you have played another year. The thing is, why should I?
Why should I?
Drop.
Mic
Drop
drop.
mic.
It is the complete mic drop. You're right.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I think Peyton Manning did the same thing when he finally get that Super Bowl in Denver.
Yeah.
I'm out. And hey, I'm gonna do a broadcasting career and do all these commercials, and Tom Brady's still gonna have opportunity over opportunity. He still got his good looks and his hair and all that. They gonna love to have him on somebody's broadcast. Hell, I could see him and Romo. That'd be funny as hell on a broadcast.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. But yeah, I can see it. Speaking of which, before we get out, one note too, Mr. Reliable, Mr. 88, you know who you are, Greg Olson. Thank you for a hell of a ride in the NFL. We congratulate you and wish you well in your retirement. We know that you've already signed on to be a commentator on, I think it's Fox. And look for a lot of your good commentary because I know he's going to do a great job with that. But just thank you for all the years in Carolina. I know you were drafted by Chicago when you were originally drafted. I was begging Carolina to draft you. And when they made that trade, I was almost like, oh, man, this is great. And you've been nothing but a stand-up guy, not only on the field, but everything that you've done in Charlotte. I love that. I appreciate that. This is always home for you, and we will always love you, man. We appreciate everything that you've done. Everything.
Complete class guy all the way around. He will have definite success in the future because whatever he has dived into, he works his tail off to be the best. So you'll see that on the commentary side too. Props to Greg Olson. Thanks for the years. It was outstanding.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go, but I got a feeling that next week we will be on.
Yeah.
There's not going to have been a game, but we'll get more into a lot of the Super Bowl nuts and bolts. We're going to talk about more of the NFL draft. I got a feeling that there's going to be some more retirements by then. We're all on the Drew Brees watch right now. I think that's coming. I think
Yeah, that's coming.
that's coming. But there's going to be some more news and things to kind of go through. So thanks, everybody, for joining. Look forward to seeing y'all next week. Keep it going. Stay safe out there. And as always, wear a damn mask.
Please, please.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.